What's good, y'all? It's Drew here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be tackling Luffy versus Zoro and just putting an end to this foolishness. Obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. First thing is first is question of the day. Now, question of the day is, who's your favorite character between Luffy and Zoro? And the reason I'm asking this question is because, when you're debating two people, it's important to know where your biases lie. So, if you're saying that Zoro one-shots Luffy or Luffy low-diff Zoro or something like that, and then that's your favorite character, we're like, okay. So between the two, which one do you like more? That's basically the question. I like Luffy more than Zoro. Like, Luffy is one of my favorite characters, although I don't think that will affect my argument too much. But I mean, obviously, if you think it does, just let me know in the comments. But we're gonna get right to it. When I was making a previous video, maybe it was the Shaman Reborn one, I remember like a thing happened on Twitter, right, between Luffy and Zoro, and people were saying that like, oh, Zoro and Luffy are equal, and it went from there to Zoro stronger than Luffy. And I actually had this video already recorded. I was already planning. I had already recorded and I was ready to start editing, but a certain person on Twitter, gave me basically he was dropping some knowledge on the timeline. That's Akinu, King of Punch Holes. You should just go follow him. Get some likes, retweets, all that stuff to his Twitter, because he had posted like a bunch of panels about talking about Luffy's durability and stuff like that. Actually, while you're there, give me some love too. Give me some follows. You know how that goes. But yeah, so he talks about Luffy and Zoro, and he gives the panels and he goes through why Luffy, that whole thing with the Magellan stuff was way crazier than most people thought, right? Because I remember the Magellan stuff. Obviously, I'm talking about when Magellan dropped him off, and then he had to be saved and all that stuff. I knew it was crazy, but the manga really went in depth, in my opinion, with it. Like, the anime was good. Like, that's what I watched. I was like, well, that's pretty good. Like, that's pretty crazy. But with the manga, one, we know he gets covered in the poison, and then he's like conscious enough to do things. He was arguing. He was talking with someone looking for his brother. Basically, he was chatting, I need my brother back type thing. And then he bites the wolves when while Bon Clay is getting beat up by the wolves. He bites one of the wolves and then uses Conquerors Haki. I'm dropping. I think the Conquerors Haki video just dropped yesterday, so that's perfect timing. He busts out Conquerors Haki and loses consciousness, and then he gets consciousness back again, or he might have been conscious the whole time, but he gets consciousness back again, and basically tells Ivankov, "Save him, please. Like, he's my friend. Save him. He was hurt by the wolves." And that's Ivankov even says that's the reason why he saved both of them, because it's very rare that someone on death's door would ask to save another person. So he's like, all right, I respect that. But obviously Ivankov has to save him. He's like, do you want me to do this? It'll give you it'll increase your chance of like survival from 0 to maybe 2 to 3%. And Luffy's like, of course. So he stabs him with the little, like, I don't forget what it's called. I don't remember the name of it exactly, but it was like basically like an adrenaline shot to boost up his adrenaline. And like, go back and look at the panels, bro. Go back right now. I might have one on screen, but like, look at the panel. Like, it has his heart, and it's like, bro, like, it looks like his heart's about to burst. And we know a lot about Luffy and how he's a rubber man. And now, like, if he wasn't a rubber man, him using Gear 2 would burst his heart. But it looks like even then, it looks like his heart's about to burst. So it's insane. And you look at his freaking veins and stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that is probably at this moment the biggest durability feat in the series, because you got to combine that, like the Magellan stuff, to the stuff that Ivankov did, and you add that into like freaking the whole Marineford. But that's just like, that was the first thing that I thought, because of that, like looking at that scene, obviously Akinu, King of Punch Holes, got me hip to that. I was like, bro, I gotta redo this video because I gotta change things up. And another thing that really made me, like, the first thing that really made me say, all right, I gotta make a video, because as I told you, I had already recorded one, was I wake up maybe 2 or 3 days ago to people talking about Zoro. They could argue Zoro over Prime Roger, and someone's like, yeah, I could argue Zoro over Prime Whitebeard, so it's cool. And like, because of that, I have to make this video. Like, I'm obligated to, as a person who talks One Piece. I just have to, because I don't know where it's coming from, but that is, I don't even have a word in my vocabulary to describe the egregiousness of that statement. Luffy versus Zoro. But I think it's important to know that it's like 2 arguments, because it's Luffy versus Zoro pre-Wano, and there's Luffy versus Zoro, obviously in one on the rooftop type thing. I think that if you're gonna make an argument for Luffy versus Zoro, it's got to be like now on the rooftop. Any other argument, I think, well, I'm gonna explain why, is kind of foolishness, but we'll obviously tackle it, I guess, between speed, strength, durability, hockey. I think that's all of the 4 things I really need to talk about in a fight. I think those are like the things. If you're better at those, then you're straight. So, and then I guess you could say like battle prowess and stuff, but I'll just start from there. Looking at like Luffy and Zoro, I would say pre-rooftop with speed. The argument is it's just not there for Zoro. Like if we're looking at like Gear 4, you might be able to say Zoro's can reach Gear 4 speed. I mean, we've never seen anything like that though. But if you were to say that that's not, I mean, I'm okay with that, I suppose. But when we're looking at like Snake Man, there's just nothing. There's not like a thing in my bro's arsenal that can reach that. We looking at Snake Man, and Snake Man, Katakuri is probably one of the fast people that we know in the series. He's a speed demon. Katakuri had to look into the future, 3 or 4 seconds of the future with future sight just to see himself getting punched. He couldn't even, he had to literally like adjust to it on the fly. So if you don't have future sight, I don't know how you're not getting smashed on by that. Like I really, really don't know. But it's like, bro. So with speed, like, you know, if you want to talk base to base, I mean, Zoro probably has that just because of how like it scales. But I mean, Luffy doesn't fight just base to base. Luffy has gears. Gear 2, Zoro might be able to catch up with that kind of speed. But Gear 4, like, he can use that for a minute. Like, the way I see it, I think if you're gonna argue that Gear 4 is a thing that it runs out in 10 minutes, Gear 4 is like consistency with how it times out is a lot more varied on how he fights. Like on when we had Dressrosa in the tournament, he fought for like multiple hours and then he fought Dofi. Like people forget that the entire Dressrosa like arc was like 1 day. So you gotta remember everything all the fights that Luffy engaged in, and then he fought Dofi, and he fought Dofi at first a little bit with like Gear 2 and 3. Then he went Gear 4. So all of that obviously adds to why he was only in it for 10 minutes, and he still could have moved afterwards. He just wanted to conserve as much energy as possible. Then you look at the Cracker fight. He went Gear 4. He was like tired and he needed to eat, but again, he was about to go like King Kong gun on Cracker, but stuff messed it up. And then against Cat, he did time out of Gear 4, but he was able to move and evade Cat like for a good amount of time. And then he fought for like 12 hours, 12 maybe 24, like some crazy amount of time hours wise. So like if you're arguing with Luffy in like Gear 4 and his speed or whatever, is that he'll time out and he'll be done. Like, nah, Luffy is still capable of battling in that form. When you look at Luffy's like stamina, he has a good amount of stamina in Gear 4. Plus, if we're looking at like non-rooftop Zoro we don't even know if Zoro's anywhere near Gear 4. Like, it's a hard argument to have. Like, that's why with a lot of Zoro and Sanji stuff, I didn't want to talk about Zoro and Sanji post timeskip because we don't know where they are in the hierarchy yet. Because Luffy and Zoro is a hard question on talking about them pre-rooftop, I think I'm gonna just like tackle the rooftop mostly, honestly. Looking at everything, I mean, I'll touch over some things. Like, for instance, most Zoro fans, I'm sure the Nothing Happened is like one of their main things to use, right? The Nothing Happened before like actually understanding what Luffy went through with the Magellan stuff. I did think Nothing Happened was probably like the best Straw Hat endurance feat in the series, just because Zoro took his damage and then he took on Luffy's damage in addition, and he survived. I mean, one thing I think Aki Inu pointed out though, he was like, that's a crazy feat, but Zoro, we didn't even see Zoro heal up from that until the time skip. Because you remember Sabaody, we knew he was still hurt from it. And like, even during like the train with Mihawk, he was still hurt. We never saw a healthy Zoro from that moment on until the time skip, which is crazy. Whereas Luffy, with the Magellan feat, Luffy was, I mean, first of all, Luffy fought in a freaking war. Now, you want to say he got like roids? Sure, but those were just for stamina. He was just because his body wouldn't move anymore. He wasn't like damaged. So you got to remember, after all that Magellan crap and like the Ivankov stuff, he went and fought in a war, and he was he wasn't a crazy big part of the fighting force. That's just because it was top tiers though. he was a significant player in that war. If you're gonna talk about doing things, he was all over the place. He clashed with admirals, clashed with Garp. Like he was just doing crazy stuff. You know, Luffy, that's what he do. Like, bro, Luffy was out of it. Then he ate some food and he was ready to go. If it weren't for him being tired, he would have been ready to just go without no roids, no Ivankov roids. So like, when we're talking about durability and endurance, Luffy's is just unmatched. Like it's really just not close. And obviously, like, people forget Luffy's a rubber man. And while we know that doesn't necessarily mean you're more durable than someone in like the New World because of Haki and stuff, we see with Gear 4 that Luffy can, you know, add his Haki to his rubber fruit and make himself more durable. Like we've seen, I think on two big occasions that when Luffy combines his Haki in his rubber fruit, he can be super durable. We saw with Dofi, which I hit that man with the athlete's foot. He ate that and said that won't work on me. And then against Cracker, literally Cracker tries to stab him and he like pulls him and pushes him back out. Like literally, he did not get hurt. Tank Man? How is Zoro cutting Tank Man? One thing Oda does that's very particular is he makes the line between Luffy and Zoro and Zoro and Sanji very blurred, right? At times you have them fighting like on the same level, right? Where like, for instance, Luffy versus Zoro in Whiskey Peak. One thing you should probably note is I don't think that's a serious argument to have, especially because we all remember how that fight concluded with Nami one-shotting both of them. So if you want to take some real like conclusions out of that, you have to then take conclusions that Nami is over Luffy and Zoro, and we all know that's false. So you have to take some of that with a grain of salt. Luffy and Zoro did combine attacks against that sea train when like towards the end of Water 7. That is definitely a feat where they look like they're on equal towing. But then like later in the next arc, we see Luffy fight Lucci, and everyone agrees that only Luffy could have fought Lucci. They're like, dang, Luffy really knows who he needs to fight. And when they say who he needs to fight, they're saying who the top tier person is. So when they say that, they know that no one else on the crew, Zoro included, could have beaten Lucci at that time. So that's another thing you got to take into account. But I think the bigger question, like the bigger argument here, really is definitely Luffy versus Zoro on the rooftop. So I'm gonna just move the arguments over there. Now, Luffy versus Zoro on the rooftop is definitely something that I think is not egregious. But I mean, if you're gonna argue with that stuff, you can't use any pre-time skip stuff. You can't use anything before. Like if you're gonna talk about durability and endurance, you can't talk about like nothing happened and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because like those are feats that are like, first of all, those are like 2 years ago. Those feats are from 2 years ago. So you gotta remember like the whole totality of everything. But looking on rooftop, I think right now it is an argument to say that like Zoro might be able to produce more out. Like he might be able to produce an attack more powerful than some Luffy can produce because of like Enma and all that stuff. And I don't really care if it's a power up. That's not important to me. But I think it is definitely possible. Looking at that attack that he did, that the first attack that Kaido dodged, Big Mom did tell him to dodge that. Probably, I think if we're looking at like the most damage that attacks can do, I think that attack probably would have done the most damage to Kaido that's been done, if that makes sense. However, I would like to see King Kong Gun against that, because King Kong Gun is Luffy's most powerful raw power attack. Now, you could obviously say King Kong Gun after he uses it, he's done, but I mean, I'd still like to see it. Like, I still want to know how much damage that does in comparison. I think there's definitely an argument to say that Zoro can produce more of an output than Luffy can with that attack. But I don't think you could just go and say that's true off rip, just because like Zoro is he's literally still learning like how to draw out the power of it or whatever, the Haki. I'm pretty sure he attacked Kaido with his first attack. He said it was too weak. He needs more Haki. Then he attack him with the second attack that Kaido dodged. That was a lot of Haki. And in the third attack, it was just a good amount of Haki. So in a battle between Luffy, he would have to gauge how to use his Haki. It's not as easy as he has that kind of power off rip to like, the slash that cut Onigashima. Like he can't just naturally do that. Like he's not sending Onigiris that powerful. Like let's cut that out. So I mean, I guess you could give it to Zoro, but I still think that Luffy can consistently produce more power in his punch as opposed to Zoro in his slash. If we're looking at who's doing the most damage to Kaido on the rooftop, it's clearly Luffy, and I don't think it's close. Luffy was literally teeing up Kaido. Zoro's attack might have the capacity to be like stronger than Luffy's, but Luffy's like damage per punch is definitely higher than Zoro's. But looking at speed, I'm sorry, I can't see the argument with Zoro even now. Now, it is fair to say I think Zoro definitely has blitzed probably Kaido and Big Mom maybe. But Kaido and Big Mom are pretty fast. But a real question is, are they faster than Cat? Because Cat is known for his speed and he basically spammed Future Sight. I think it's fair to note that when Luffy's not even in his fastest form right now. Now, like Zoro, you could say I think Zoro has been helping Luffy, obviously caught him and whatever, protecting him. But Luffy's in Gear 4 Balance Man for most of his battle. And as we know, that is his balance. That's his Gear 4 balance, right? So it has a good amount of elasticity, a good amount of speed, strength, all that. Luffy's not in his fastest form right now. We're talking, again, Snake Man. And we're looking at Snake Man and the speed that it's able to do. And don't forget, Zoro does not have Future Sight. Now, obviously, I know Future Sight is not the end-all, be-all, but still, like, how is Zoro going to be dodging like the jet culverins that Luffy can bust out easily? Now, that's a question you have to ask. I don't think that Zoro can reach that type of speed that Snake Man can reach. Like, we have not seen that. So I don't know how you can give him the edge in speed with that. Obviously, with Haki, I hope you're not arguing that Zoro has better Haki in any way. Now, if you want to say that Enma's gonna get him better Haki, maybe Armament, because I think Oda did say that Zoro's like mastery is for Armament, right? And Luffy's was for Conquerors. But right now, Luffy got 1 advanced Armament, Rio, and 2 advanced Observation, Future Sight. That's off. First of all, that's something that Zoro don't have. Just cut it out. He don't got that. Now, that doesn't mean you have better Armament or Observation, obviously, as we've seen. But I think, honestly, I still think that Cat has better Armament than Luffy, like this instant, and Luffy has Rio. Luffy, I think he has the 2 types of Rio, and I still think Cat has better Observation. Still think Cat has better Armament than Luffy, but we know Cat is a Haki master, right? We've seen the type of armament Cat can do, and I don't think it's close to what Zoro can do or what we've seen Zoro do. It's hard to say, but if we're gonna give the Haki checkmark based on what we've seen from the 2, don't you have to give it to Luffy, right? Because Luffy's hitting Kaido with blunt attacks, and as we know, it's a lot harder to make someone bleed with a blunt attack than a sharp attack. Zoro fights with a sword. He fights with 3 swords, and he is damaging Kaido. We have to admit, he's making that man bleed for sure. But Luffy is fighting him with exclusively the hand and Rio. That's all he's using. Off rip, he was able to just hit him with the red rock. We saw how much damage that did, all that stuff. So, if we're looking at Haki, you have to give it to Luffy. I don't think until we see otherwise, Luffy has better mastery of Haki. We've seen that Luffy is literally efficiently using his Devil Fruit and Haki at the same time, like as a mixture. He's been doing that since Dressrosa. I think he's getting better at the efficiency of it too, because we've seen he was like kind of busting out Gear 4 all over the raid before he even got to the fight. So he's using Gear 4 a lot. And then you add in, he could probably really use like Gear 4 with Rio, which I'm gonna assume we've seen that because he's been injuring Kaido in Gear 4, so it wouldn't make sense if he's not. But yeah, like he's literally using Gear 4 and Rio. That type of Haki mastery we haven't seen from Zoro. Zoro is still like struggling to master his Haki to the level that he can use Enma correctly. Now, I'm not saying Zoro is not like a Haki novice or something. He's not a dunce with Haki, but I think it's clear that Zoro still has a far way to go to master his abilities with Haki, to have a complete mixture. That's what the whole Enma thing is about, him mastering his Haki. Luffy's already reached the level in which he can use Haki with his fruit in combination to, I wouldn't say peak efficiency, but near peak efficiency. Obviously, we know he's not a master because of the Haki, because of the time limit. Like we saw that Law basically made a comment when he first saw Gear 4 that it uses too much Haki, which I think is definitely true. But I think at this point in time, Luffy is better at using Haki in combination than Zoro is. I think Luffy and Zoro is actually a close fight. Like honestly, I think that. The real question honestly is can Zoro beat Cat? Because I think right now Luffy high to mid diffs Cat right now. Looking at the difference between Luffy in like the beginning of Wano and Luffy now, I think Luffy probably mid diffs that Luffy, and I think the Luffy that came into Wano was comparable to Cat. I think Luffy beat Cat. Some people don't think that, but I mean whatever. The point is, Luffy, the Luffy that left Whole Cake Island was very comparable to Cat. In fact, you could probably say that Luffy got stronger in that fight against Cat. He definitely did. He blew his haki. If Zoro can't beat Cat, which I don't think he can yet, if Zoro can't beat Cat, then the conversation for Luffy and Zoro it's not here yet. You gotta rewatch the Luffy versus Kaido fight, the first one, what he was doing against Kaido, and then watch what he's doing now. Now, I think it definitely, you can't like forsake what Zoro's doing on the rooftop. He's definitely doing damage and stuff, and that has to be accounted for. But I think that despite the damage he's doing, and you probably could argue he's the second most impressive fighter, right? Unless you want to count Law, who's like been saving everyone's butt, but whatever. In terms of dealing damage, I think Zoro is definitely second place. But like, again, he's second place. Luffy's done the most damage in the fight, and I don't think he's not busted out his best techniques to me. I don't know if Luffy's hiding any other techniques, but we haven't seen King Kong Gun yet. Which King Kong Gun with Ryo, what do we like? That's insane. That's literally crazy. We saw a freaking Red Rock with Ryo do that much damage to him. Imagine like a King Kong Gun with Ryo. Like, I think Luffy has not another gear to go to, but I think that Luffy can still produce more stronger attacks than Zoro can. Now, I want to see a comp between that one slash Zoro did and the King Kong Gun, but I still got King Kong Gun over that, bro. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, the Zoro, I don't know why we're doing this though, but Zoro versus Luffy is, I think it's clear who's stronger, but it's not by a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying Luffy's not going to low div Zoro. I don't think that's not happening. But I do think in a fight, Luffy, he's going to last longer than Zoro. He has each one of his punches on average are going to be stronger than Zoro's slashes. He's faster than Zoro, and he has better haki. Now, Zoro could bloom his haki or whatever, but it's like, bro, Luffy pretty much beats Zoro in every statistical category. Like, what does Zoro have over Luffy at this exact moment? I really don't know. I'm gonna keep it a bean. And Luffy has Conquerors, which this was one of the things that made me make that video for yesterday. Luffy does have Conquerors, but as of right now, like, Conquerors doesn't move the needle for me at all in a top tier 1v1. Like, I don't really care. But if you value, right now Conquerors is not really valuable. But if you value Conquerors, that is something you could put in Luffy's favor that Zoro does not have as of this moment. I think Zoro's definitely gonna get Conquerors at some point, but right now he does not have Conquerors. But it's like, what does that mean? But still, I don't see what the argument is for Zoro versus Luffy, honestly. So you just gotta let me know in the comments, like, yes, if you're pro Zoro in this Luffy versus Zoro fight, why? Or in what way can Zoro win? Because you can't really argue any feats pre-rooftop, because if you do, then it's like, if you're gonna look at Luffy versus Zoro as a time skip, you can't give it to Zoro because Zoro doesn't have any feats, and Zoro didn't even have the betrayal. So it's like, what does Zoro have above Luffy in the post time skip? I think you can go to pre-time skip, but I think in pre-time skip, Oda pretty much established that Luffy for the most part is above Zoro. So I don't know what the argument is. Point is, if Luffy fights Zoro right now, it's a high diff, I think. High diff. If Luffy's hiding something or he's able to do a new move, maybe mid diff. But the argument for Zoro above Luffy, y'all just going to let me know down below. But I'm out, so peace.